avoid looking like total shit and still eating like total shit. That's what I do. God damn, there he is. Look at that ugly fucking mug.
Right?
Only took 11 tries and 14 minutes, but we got
just
you.
11.
I like how everybody's like looking over my shoulder when my wife creeps her head up like a fucking Muppet. Oh, we can still see you. All right. Have you figured out technology yet?
Sometimes.
You find you somewhere to sit still for a little bit, and then we'll be able to get a good conversation going.
All right.
Have you put the children away?
No, I told them to shut up and threatened them with their life.
Now, how many children do you have at home with you?
Right now?
Yeah.
4.
4 out of a dozen? Or is it just...
Yeah, out of 8.
Jesus Christ. So is that 1,400 per kid looking pretty good right now?
I look great when I got it.
Fuck you.
Huh?
Fuck you. I ain't even got my check yet. I get the check for me.
Hey, gotta get it.
Yeah. Did you watch the president's little announcement or press release or whatever the fuck it was yesterday?
I did not.
Yeah. You're not a political guy?
Not really.
No. I'm not a political guy, but I like to keep up with what's going on. Mostly because if I don't have a fucking clue, then I'm going to be the only person in the world that doesn't. So, like, when I go to work every morning, there's this big circle of motherfuckers standing around talking shit about the president or football or whatever. Like, I didn't even know that the Super Bowl had already happened until the following Monday. That's how far out of the loop I am. So, plus I just got Antenna TV for the first time in like 3.5 years. So that, you know, I'll be able to watch the Super Bowl next year. but yeah, there was like a good 30-minute little press conference bullshit thing that he put out yesterday. Was talking about how he's going to have the vaccine available to everybody within the United States by May 1st, and then there's going to be over $100 million worth of like I guess government money. You know, that $3 gas is going to pay for all the COVID vaccinations that everybody's going to be getting, but you get $1,400, so that'll cover your fucking fuel, I guess. Better than nothing.
Better than nothing, even though they already had it planned.
I don't know if it was all part of the plan, but whatever the fuck they had going, it's obviously working.
Right.
Everybody's getting their shot, so. Well, unless there's just a dozen people in every county that refuse to do it, and then there's going to be all these vaccines that are just sitting there because no one wants to fuck with it because they realize that they don't need it. But I'm going to need to get mine anyway because I'm leaving the lower 48 in 2 months, so that it's like either risk waiting until 2 days before your flight to get a negative test or take a paper that says you're vaccinated so you can get on your fucking plane.
Right. Yeah, they were saying that the United States is sitting on a shitload of fucking vaccines right now.
Just nobody wants to pay for them.
Right.
I think
Japan has to do it.
Well, this is how they make you. You know what I mean? If you ever want to go anywhere or do anything fun, like go to Hawaii or go out of the country and or hit Canada or anything like that, they're gonna keep the fucking borders closed until it happens. They're gonna make you get the goddamn thing. But I mean, I'm vaccinated for just about everything else. I don't fuck with the flu shot anymore because it seems like every year that I got the shot, I got the flu. Hopefully that's not the case here because I already had COVID twice. But
yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, we had a couple guys at work that got it, but they ain't had COVID yet, so we'll see how it goes.
They bring it up there, they're going to give it to you, and then you're going to get shut down for a couple of days, and that fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're not here to talk politics. There have been a total of 2 Empire Pro Wrestling shows in the last couple of months at the new, well, not the new, but at the different venue that they're hosting. It's at the the VFW in South Oklahoma City. And basically, within the last 2 to 3 months, you've had a pretty decent angle going on between Double D and Kevin Sanchez. You've got the All-American Championship. You've got the tag team titles, which, Revan and I have those. And then you have the Internet TV title. And the Internet TV title's getting defended and has changed hands twice at UWO TV tapings. So things are, slowly but surely starting to get rolling again. I guess what I'd like to talk about is what you think Empire Pro Wrestling is going to be doing for the next several months. I know that you're pretty invested into the company now ever since it switched from ECW to EPW, and that you're also going to be doing events with Sooner World Class Wrestling with Kareem Sadat in a couple of months. And I guess maybe now's a good chance for you to also sum up, like, there's going to be some confusion because All-American Championship Wrestling turned to Sooner World Class Wrestling. Sooner World Class Wrestling turned into ECW. ECW turned into EPW. And now you're going to have EPW and SWCW run in the same town on different nights. So is there a working relationship there, or is there going to be a merger of two companies, or what do you think the goal is for both?
From my understanding, the goal is to keep it separate. I'm not sure. The rumors are with Sooner World Class is they're going to run a few shows a year, kind of like BCW does.
Right on.
Don't quote me on that. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah.
But I know that they definitely want to keep it separate. This is Kevin's deal. Empire is Kevin's deal. And Travis wants him to stay separate and succeed and everything like that.
That's good. I know that they were both pretty dedicated to keeping it 50-50 for the longest time, because I was at Sooner World Class Wrestling, when it was All-American Championship Wrestling since like 2006, 2007. And I guess maybe there's going to be some friendly competition there. Maybe the hope is that, they'll both succeed, but it's going to get a little crowded. I think that there's going to be some competition stemming, and I think that at some point in time, there's going to be a need to see, who the superior show is or who the superior friend is, because all this time, Kevin and Travis have been like this. So if he's just running a show down the street, it's kind of like what happened with Mike Crawford and I. Mike Crawford got a little busy, and he decided he wanted to be an MMA promoter full time. So I ran Mid-South by myself for a couple of months, and then he said, hey, brother, Mid-South's my thing. And I feel like at first, Empire was Travis's thing, and he got a little burnt out. And when he got a little burnt out, Kevin kind of did the same thing I did. He said, man, I don't want to stop wrestling. I want us to still run shows. I want to be busy. I love being busy. If every Saturday is filled up with wrestling events, I'm happy. And I think maybe a little success there showed a little envy. And I think at some point in time, in my opinion, that's going to boil down. And at some point, we're going to have Kareem Sadat on one side, and we're going to have Kevin Sanchez on the other. And this may turn into like a Civil War situation.
Well, personally, that sounds like a pretty good show to me. I know that Empire Championship Wrestling ran a show called Mortal Kombat, which would be the perfect name and show to run that kind of angle and show that.
Murder?
What's up?
Murder?
Yeah, well, that he's a hardcore icon, the hardcore legend of Oklahoma, so he likes to get some blood, and Kevin, he's not afraid to do it either. So
yeah, that's true. And to Robbie's point, he said so he'd rather let Mid-South die rather than let someone keep its heart beating. I don't think that's necessarily what the case was. I think it was one of those deals where it's just similar to Travis. Mike is running 4 businesses at once. He owns a nightclub. He runs a pest control business. He's an MMA promoter and a pro wrestling promoter. And man, when it comes to tax time, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. When it comes to keeping the lights on in 4 different locations, trying to remember all that shit sounds like a nightmare. It's just a lot. So Rage in the Cage is probably his most profitable thing. I can see why he would rather do MMA full time and then maybe let Mid South take a back seat, which is kind of like what Sooner World Class did, or what we would even consider Empire Championship Wrestling did. You get fucking tired of it every now and then, and you need to chill. Mike was a promoter. He wasn't necessarily a full-time wrestler. I know a lot of full-time wrestlers who take 5 years off just because they need to clean their palate. And I think Travis has cleaned his palate. I think Mike is in the process of cleaning his palate. And I think eventually Mid-South will make a comeback. I'd like it very much so to see Mid-South back on the booking sheet as often as possible. The only problem is you got Empire Championship Wrestling, or Pro Wrestling now. You got Sooner World Class Wrestling. You got All-Star Wrestling, UWO. And then if you had Mid-South, that'd be 5 promotions within 50 miles of each other. I mean, not to mention Guthrie's not very far. BCW twice a year, April and October. It's a lot of meat on the grill, and there's only so many wrestlers in this area. That's why Terry makes such a big deal about bringing people from Vegas and bringing people from Colorado, because he doesn't want it to be the same shit. I bring a ton of people from Kansas, and it looks like Empire's bringing quite a few Texas boys up. I like that we're all being diverse, and even Brandon Barricade, I'll give him a lot of credit. He has a roster. Yeah, Mike, you're a little late to the party. We've been talking about Sooner World Class Wrestling for 10 minutes. but the whole point is, if we have 5 or 6 promotions, say Zach wants to run another Red Dirt Wrestling show, 6 promotions all within 50 or 60 miles, it's going to be a clusterfuck, guys. There's times where I forget what angle I'm in, which belt I'm supposed to bring. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. So how do you think, as not a booker or a promoter, but as a guy who's helping, with the day-to-day, how do you think you're going to make Empire Pro Wrestling different from the other shows?
My opinion is just bringing in more diverse people. We had Nuclear Warfare, we had Temple. We've been bringing in Reggie Lincoln a lot, Zane, and just building good angles with them. And I think that will help the fans come in and be invested in it more.
Sure. And honestly, that's the only thing you can do. You're going to have to make your show different with the stories rather than the wrestlers, because you're going to be, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, there's a crop of guys in this area that are super dependable, but they're not necessarily the ones that were on your first card. And then you have a cancellation, or you have 2 cancellations, or you have a tag team say they can't make it, or somebody gets a flat tire, or somebody's dog ate their homework. There's a dumbass excuse for why they can't be there, but they don't show up. And then those same dependable guys show up, and you run out of options. And then it's like, well, fuck, he was on the show last night across town. Well, shit, he wrestled this guy last night. Like, God damn it, we're going to have to do it again. And then,
right.
Before you know it, that dependable guy is your only option, because he'll show up, and then the guy you wanted either decides that he's not interested anymore, or he doesn't want to be a part of that show. It's nothing against the guy that's dependable, because that's more important than talent, honestly, is the guy who shows up early, stays late, helps sweep the floor, set up and tear down the ring. That shit's fucking fantastic. But then every single show looks the fucking same.
Yep.
And I don't know. I guess it's just something that you got to do. It's either you can make the decision to go ahead and book him because the motherfucker showed up, or you can ask him to stick around because even though you don't have anything for him, you'd love for him to, at least, yeah, can you stick around to help tear down, brother? That brother bullshit. But, like, how do we fix that shit, man? Are we just going to start buying a bunch of fucking secondary gimmicks and make guys wear hoods?
Right now, we've been fortunate enough at Empire that when they show up, we've been able to find a spot for them.
For sure.
But
You
at the same time, finding a spot for them is not going to get them an angle. It's not going to get them what we really need, which is storylines and stuff like that.
yeah, and just about every person in this feed, as well as everybody that I know, was always taught, if you're going to show up, always bring your shit. Have your boots in the bag, have your bag in the car, and be ready to go. But Landers just said all promoters need to have a sit down, in my honest opinion, so everyone is on the same page when it comes to booking talent. Here is the problem with that. You can all have a sit down, but it's going to start out as a sit down and it's going to end as a pissing contest. Because maybe I'm a top guy in OKC, but I'm a fucking mid-card guy in Tulsa. Maybe I'm the tag team wrestler for this company, but they want me to be the hardcore guy over here. Maybe they want me to be a babyface in Midwest City, but they need me to be a heel in Oklahoma City. And then everything just turns into more of a blurred line, and it gets to where if the wrestlers aren't willing to stay consistent and tell the promoter, hey, this is what I need to do because, hey, this is what I'm doing across town, it's the same goddamn fans. Any promoter who says, oh, well, we have our loyal fans, they're not the same crowd. Horse shit. They're the same fucking people. And it's because they love wrestling, and they'll go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if we all decide to run the same weekend. And Mike Isles has a point. A lot of bookers would never do that because they think they know better than the other guy. And like that's exactly where the pissing begins. It's just going to be a huge fucking scramble for an argument. Using the same guys over and over, rotating them in and out, face, heel, back, then constantly rebirthing the same faction over. See, I actually made a fucking comment at the All-Star show the other day. I was like, green walls, posters all over the walls, 18-foot ring, black canvas, but it's just green. Everything looked like IZW. And then I walked into the locker room and there was a ton of the guys on the card when I worked at IZW back there. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm back in Lawton. But the difference between the All-Star show and the Lawton show is like, when I went to IZW, it was basically a job at the time. Like I didn't enjoy it very much, and like in hindsight, I didn't want to be there a majority of the time I was there, and I should have just made the decision to leave when I realized it wasn't fun. When I go to All Star, I at least enjoy myself. Because 9 times out of the 10, when I walk into the room, the promoter looks at me and he says, well, "What do you want to do?" And then I can give him my opinion. He doesn't go, "Here's your fucking run sheet," and that makes a big difference too. Have you had anything like that happen yet where you're wanting to do one thing, but the promoter looks you dead set in the eye and he just says, "No, you're doing this"? Or has everybody so far been pretty lenient?
No, everyone's pretty lenient. I mean, obviously I'm brand new, so there's stuff I want to do in a match that, the veteran don't want to do. So it's just kind of like, well, let's follow along and see how it goes, because obviously they know better than I do. So.
Well, that's the best attitude to have too. I was always told to keep my fucking ears open and my mouth shut, but it was a lot more stern maybe 10 years ago than it is now, because a lot of the guys that are, brand new now, they all have a smart ass fucking comment to make every other minute, which is fine. But if I was in that locker room and I was smarting off, they would threaten to punch me in the mouth. Know. So it's the young guys too. It's like the 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. And then one of my students even asked me the other day, he was like, "Hey, should I bring my gear to that show?" I said, "Yeah, you should always bring your gear." And he says, "How much money should I ask for?" And I said, "I don't suggest you ask for money at all. I think you should be grateful that you get an envelope if you do."
Right.
But, are they also doing that too? Are you being like compensated decently for the most part, unless it's like an event where you're not expecting anything?
Yeah.
Are you at least getting your hot dog?
I'm always getting my hot dog and my handshake.
I was at a Wrestling Against Hunger show, and the concession stand, they were way over prepared. They had so much food, and it was a shitload of hot dogs So I was like, what are you gonna do with these? And they're like, I guess we're just gonna pass them out to the wrestlers. And I was like, I got fucking dibs on that. So I'd walk around, I'd hand them a hot dog, and I'd give them a handshake. Your boobs are hanging out. My wife tried to flash the internet. You see that?
You recently.
Oh, was I? Well, she flashed me. Tyson said they'd hit him in the mouth too. I think that's just because Tyson never shuts up. They were trying to close it for him.
Was it because Tyson mispronounces their name and stuff?
No, I think he's referring to whenever he was a student, like whenever he was still training under Tom.
Right.
Because I mean, Tom Jones is the only guy who could have ever like tried to like make me tap out and accomplish it. Like he put me in a fucking hammerlock, made me want to bite my arm off. The dude was stout as fuck, and he was old too at the time. I never got to experience like prime Tom Jones training. It was 100% like grocery sack with his lunch in it, on the apron, elbows on the apron, just chilling by the ring, not planning on getting it in whatsoever. And instead of him getting in the ring to show you something, he would tell you to get out of the ring. And whatever you guys were going to do, you'd do it on the floor beside the ring. Even if it was just posting for a slam or whatever, he'd do that outside of the ring. And then he would tell you to get the fuck back in it and do it right. Because he didn't want to go up the staircase.
Nice.
Those were good times. Did you ever have any experiences with him?
I did not.
No,
But that style of being outside the ring, Sadat and Kevin, they both wanted to do that style.
Well, yeah,
that's they got into the ring.
That's their trainer, you know what I mean? So like anything, and like I wasn't directly trained by Tom, but everyone that taught me was trained by him. So like that kind of like got transmitted to me over time, which was really cool because I only got to spend a few sessions, you know, around the ring with him. And you know, I got enough, you know, I got my fill so that I was able to, I don't know how to say it without, like, I don't want it to come off as disrespectful by any means, but like I got to spend a little bit of time with him before he was gone. And if I hadn't gone out of my way to go see him and try to learn from him, I never would have had the chance, and I'd be regretting it now. So like, even though I didn't get a lot of time, I went out of my way to get it because I was like, I needed to go see him and talk to him because I knew that it could have been any day. You know, like he might be gone tomorrow. I need to learn from him today.
Right.
Is that fucked up? That shitty
No.
of me? Like this dude's gonna die. I need to hurry up and get my knowledge before it's too late.
Well, no, because honestly, that's how any of us new guys should be anyways to any of the vets that they think are worth anything is you should seek them out and get the knowledge from them.
Well, of course. I don't know. I've always had this weird thing about death because when I was like, 3 or 4 years in, that's when my brother died. And then every single person I knew was coming to me and was just like, man, this is what your brother did for me. And I was always like, you know, he taught you that? That's fucking cool. He just beat the shit out of me for 20 years, you know? He didn't beat me shit. You know? I wish I could have learned more from him because he had a direct, you know, landline to all of that Tom Jones Mid-South wrestling knowledge. You know, he was training with his son Cody. He was training with Izzy High. He was training with Outlaw before Outlaw went completely bananas. Just a bunch of the guys that were, you know, regulars, locals, you know, back when Tyson and Landers and there's so many. Even Devin Monroe was around. AWOL, K-Rob, Venom, Lady Venom. We'd have workouts in her backyard. She had a ring in the backyard. We'd go over there and work out. And then they do like little indie, like backyard spot shows. And it was all just, you know, live practice. You haven't had a ton of matches. Is it less than 10 still?
14.
You had 14 matches already. That's fantastic. How many of them were in the UWO shows, like UWO TV?
In the UWO TV, it was three of them. And then I did 4 UWO shows.
So you've been on 4 live shows and 3 TVs.
Yes, sir.
Compare, like, give me your opinion. Working in front of a live crowd compared to having a TV match with no one in the audience, which do you prefer?
I prefer the live show just because or live audience, because you can slow it down, you can work the crowd.
Sure.
Whereas the TV, you're just kind of bam, 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 trying to get your story across.
Sure, and you know that's something I'm guilty of. Is I have put a lot more of our angles on UWO TV than I have on UWO like live events. I have a really hard time with convincing my wrestlers that we're going to be able to have a continuous storyline, even though what we're doing is once a month. Like our last show was just last Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Our next event is May 22. So there's almost 3 months in between these events. I patty caked this a little bit so that I'd have some time off because I've got a shit ton of those international title bookings coming up.
Right.
So I wanted to give myself some time and, you know, kind of let it go away for a while so people would want it. If I whooped the fuck out of you last week, do you think the audience is going to remember that in 3 months? Unless we remind them?
Yeah, that's the only way to remind them.
We're going to have to fucking go out of our way to be like, 83 days ago, Great Gallows whooped a dog shit out of this guy. So, like, how are you still supposed to have that anger rather than say there's a big heel turn on a Sunday night pay-per-view and then Monday they feed off of that, they use it to be their angle for Monday Night Raw. That's 24 hours. We're talking about fucking 3 months. Or even if it's just a month, you know, how the hell do you keep the heat to a new audience or a small audience or an audience that doesn't fucking remember because they've already been to 3 shows since yours? And I just think it's asking too much of the crowd, not because they're dumb, but because I don't remember what I had for breakfast today.
Right.
And
well, with your UWO TV and your shows, I think you would be able to tell that story throughout if you connected the two together.
Well, see, the thing about it is it's all on tape delay, obviously. We know that. But, and so continuity is not really an option. It's almost a completely different event. Like, it's a different show. The storylines are different. The angles are different. The roster's fucking different. We have half of the KWA guys from Kansas coming down for the tapings because none of them want to get a fucking license. But we do promos. The promo is more important on that show, in my opinion, than the match. Because, like, if you watch mine, my matches are a couple minutes. They're TV matches, you know. Get in there, do your shit, show them what you can and can't do, get a clean finish in the middle, and then go to the promo.
Right.
That's what TV was supposed to do, you know. Like, TV matches were originally designed to promote the live events. You see what you're going to see on TV to convince you to buy a ticket to go to the Garden.
Right.
So if we use those angles that are continuous, I mean, there's the best of 3 between Chris Morrison and Mitch Onyx. There's the storyline between the Team Boner and Team DNR with Gemini, and then me and Revan on one side. Like, that goes 4 episodes, so that's 8 weeks of television. You know, television, internet, television. I feel like the continuity of that is going to be. I also don't want to say the wrong thing and make myself sound like I'm bigger than I am, because we do have quite a few views on the show, but it's not necessarily like we're expecting a sellout 500 people to show up to our live event because we have 200 goddamn people watching the UWO TV. I guess what we're expecting is for that to be kind of like a pilot for guys like you and for guys like Ryan Ripper, Revin, or for Mitch Onyx who don't have a lot of opportunities to wrestle in front of a live audience unless you're fucking running the show. And you can get a little better each week. You can have constructive criticism from all the boys that are there to help watch, and you can also fucking you can watch your tape over and over and over again with commentary. You can learn how to work hard cam. You can do all this other shit. And it's for the fans that don't get to go to the show because of the COVID situation. They don't want to. They don't want to get hurt or sick or die. They get to see that every other fucking week. And it doesn't cost them a dime.
Right.
So the Empire ITV title has already changed hands on UWO TV. Do you see yourself in a position to be a champion before the end of the year?
It's up to how it goes. I mean, I'm just trying to improve and see what happens. Anything can happen.
So if you had a choice of which division do you feel you're going to be more comfortable in? Do you think a singles title where it would be like the ITV championship against a guy like Father Padge or Gemini or Thrash or Revin or who had it before those guys? Shit, I don't remember. Or do you see yourself in like the heavyweight division against a guy like Kevin Sanchez or Double D or me? Would you rather work your way up, or do you feel like you could skip all that shit, go straight to the top and work in that division? Because in my opinion, I want to work with the best guy in the locker room because he's going to make me look better than everybody else.
Right.
Would you be more comfortable working in the mid card and building yourself up to the heavyweight stuff, or do you think that just fucking go straight to the horse's head and work with the top guys in the company?
Really, I'm open to either one. I mean, building yourself up, you get time to improve. You kind of get that safety where you're not having to be the best at all times and all that because you're expected not to do well and building yourself up. But at the same time,
I've had a lot of shitty matches. I've had a lot.
Right?
They weren't always my fault. Sometimes they were, but I had shitty matches 14 years ago, and I had shitty matches 14 days ago. So it's not something that goes away. It's just something you have to adapt to, and you get better. But like, I have more fun with the people who can make me look good.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, working with people that can lead the way and all that. I mean, you're always going to look the best doing that, anyways. I mean, there's just from the people that I've worked, you can tell the difference in who can lead and who can't, and who knows what we need to do to slow it down or make it good or speed it up or whatever.
Do you think you'd be comfortable leading now? Like if someone looked at you and said, "Hey, you're gonna work with," oh fuck, I don't have a good example at the top of my head. What was that kid's name that was at the last show? He was one of Carnage's guys.
Connor Smith.
Connor Smith. They tell you, okay, you're working with Connor Smith tonight. He's had one match licensed. He's 18 years old. Doesn't know fucking wrist lock from wrist watch. He's greener than goose shit. You gonna let him lead it, or are you gonna lead it?
In that situation, what I did is I led it, and I talked to one of the vets and kind of told them, "Hey, this is what we got planned," and they said, "Okay, that sounds good."
You say that situation has happened already?
Yeah, I worked Connor Smith actually at January 30th at Empire.
I booked that.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh fuck. So, who did you go to? Like, what did you?
Well, Maniac Mike was there. So he I went over with him like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is what Drake said to do. Give him this," and I gave him a little bit more, and we went from there.
Do you feel like you gave him too much?
No, not at all. I think actually after working with him, I think we could have went a little longer.
You think so?
Yeah, he was pretty
You
good.
think it was 3 or 4 minutes, maybe, or?
We could have we went like 3, and we could have probably went good 6 at
Yeah.
least.
I'll tell you one thing. Any promoter I've ever spoke to is going to tell you they'd much rather you go under on your time rather than over. Because if you go
Right.
over on time, the reason why that's such a bitch is because let's say you are recording for TV. Let's say that you have an hour TV show. That's including commercials. That means you have about 38 minutes of wrestling, and your match is supposed to be 4 minutes long, and you go 6. You just killed 2 minutes of advertising. That's one commercial break.
Right.
That's where the fits used to come from. That's why people got so fucking bitchy about it. And I know Jim Cornette's he's a big proponent of keeping your fucking time, because another thing, pay-per-view. If you were ever, I can't remember, was it Great American Bash or was it Bash at the Beach, something like that, when the Goldberg Diamond Dallas Page match went off the air on the lockup?
I think that was Halloween Havoc.
You might be right. It's been over 20 years, so no telling. But that's why.
Oh yeah.
Because here's the deal: if you go over on your time and you can't even see the fucking finish of the main event because you get a 3-hour block on pay-per-view, it's because everybody else fucked around and killed too much time, or because somebody didn't fucking format the program correctly.
Right.
I want my shows to be an hour and a half, not including the intermission. The intermission needs to be 20 minutes tops, though, unless we're selling a shit ton of merch. If the fucking line is long, let them buy their shit. But if they're not buying, everybody's waiting for the show to begin, cut that shit short, because these guys want to see their main event and they want to go home.
Right.
I've had Scott Clayton edit my last 5 or 6 shows, and every single one of them was about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of wrestling. And I don't give a fuck about the live promo. I don't give a fuck about the footage of the announcer hyping up the crowd, giving away the goddamn raffle. Cut all that shit out. I want to know how long our show was bell to bell. And if it's an hour to hour and 15, I'm pretty happy, because that's about all these people care to see. If the bell time on the flyer is 7 o'clock, that motherfucker needs to be done before 9. That's just me. But I know a lot of promoters who will run a 3-hour card. That means a 4-hour show or a longer, 8, 9, 10, sometimes 12 wrestling matches. Especially when you're working last. Like anytime I'm at XWE in Salina, Kansas, and I'm the fucking 11th match, I want to shoot myself. Yeah, you got to drive home too, motherfucker. Like, got a 3.5-hour drive, and the shit doesn't stop till midnight. These people want to see a family-friendly Saturday night event. They want to get their kids to bed on time. They just want to be entertained for a couple hours. Like, and it could be the best show ever, but like Avengers Endgame, like 3.5 hours long. You know how many times I've watched that movie? Even though it's one of my favorite movies of all time and it's fucking great. I love it. I've watched it twice because it's too fucking long. I don't care that much, and I already know what's going to happen. And my goddamn t-shirt's a spoiler, so I already know what's going to happen. Drake's laugh? Well, we know he ain't fucking putting anybody over. So they just fucking leave. Now Mike Isles said, okay, that show was like 6 fucking hours. And that was one of those days where I wanted to shoot myself because I fucking thought I was never going home. But so far so good. Kevin, although he does need a lot of help, and he gets plenty, he's got you, he's got me, he's got Revan. He's been smart enough to keep the card down, and he's been smart enough to actually kind of like book a few decent matches and put a few angles together, and it's almost like he's figured out how to spread his card out, you know, with your popcorn matches and your bathroom matches. And that's not a dig at anybody, but fucking sometimes somebody's got to be the semi-main event, and somebody's got to be second. And that's not a dig at the people who are in those positions, but those are going to be the short matches on the card.
Yeah.
Do you have any problem with going second or semi?
Nope.
Because honestly, it used to piss me off. If I wasn't first, I wanted to be last, and 9 times out of 10, I would ask to go first anyway. I don't want to be there last. I want to get my tights off as soon as fucking possible. Do you have a preference on like show times and show days?
I would say the preference is definitely the Saturday from the VFW. When just judging by the few shows we've had there, Saturdays are definitely better than Friday there.
For sure.
We'll see what Sunday is like.
The problem with Friday is everybody's got to hurry up and get home and gather their children and feed them and wash their ass, and they're rushing to the building so they get there on time, and just about everybody makes it at the last second. And then as soon as it's over, they got to rush home, get their kids in bed. It's kind of a pain in the ass. If you do it on Saturday, you know, you have all day to prepare for it. You can get shit done during the day, and then you go wrestling afterwards. And then Sundays is just fucking worse because that's when everybody's getting out of church, or that's the day you cut the lawn, or that's the day you go buy groceries or whatever. But not a lot of people got time on Sunday. The only reason why I've run Sunday is because I couldn't have an available Saturday that week, or I was booked the fuck up and all my Saturdays were full for that month and I didn't have any other fucking choice. Do you don't work All-Star really, do you?
No.
No, and is that because you are a fan of your Sunday? Or is it
I've only worked 3 of them there. Mainly, I spend time with my family on Sunday. So
yeah. See, I'm in and out when I go up there. Like if bell time is 3 o'clock, I usually show up about 2:15, 2:30, and 9 times out of 10, I don't even change my clothes. When I'm done, I just grab my shit and I go home because that's, you know, you got to go home fucking full of laundry, make dinner, all that other garbage. But I don't hate Sundays, but like the Red Dirt Wrestling show we had last weekend, it was such a cake to put it together. It just kind of sucked that we didn't draw much because we promoted the shit out of that event. And we did have some pretty loyal fans show up. Like we had people show up on Saturday and Sunday. Do you think that like 2-day events are a good idea, or do you think they're a terrible idea because there's no in between?
Well, that was my first 2-day event actually being a part of, and I was surprised at the Sunday turnout. And that's kind of, it turns me off on it a little bit, but maybe if it's presented in a way of, you know, you got to be at night 1 to see night 2. You got to be, you know, night 2 is where it's all at, and kind of.
I also kind of thought of that too, like because when I discussed it with Zach, we decided to do the $15 ticket. So like if you buy a $10 ticket, bring your stub to Sunday, you get your ticket for $5 rather than $10. You know, you get 50% off on Sunday if you come Saturday also.
Well, I think if it was the same promotion both days, it would be a different thing. Like, you know, if you did a hot title change on Saturday, that makes them want to come Sunday to see the rematch. But, you know, it being 2 different companies technically, I think maybe that was the drawback to the draw.
Yeah. Well, I did have several of my patrons ask me, they're like, hey, you know, do I get a $5 ticket? And I'd say, well, technically no, because you get free tickets in general. So I think the least you can do is pay full price for Sunday, and a lot of them were like, "What? Fuck that!" But I do think that it would be fun to do something that they do around WrestleMania weekend. Well, they used to anyway. I don't know if they're going to be doing it this year, but I don't remember exactly what the venue was. But before COVID hit, what they would do is they would book several different events at different times in the same venue. So it would be like, I'm going to throw out some random names that they're not real. I don't know if these people ran shows there or not, but it would be like a Ring of Honor show, a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show, a House of Hardcore show, a did they say Progress already? Progress show. There's just 4 examples. It's WrestleMania weekend. People are going to be there fucking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're going to watch the Hall of Fame. Then they're going to watch Monday Night Raw. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, when they're not at Access or when they're not at whatever else, they would have a show at 3 o'clock, and it would be the Ring of Honor show. The 5 o'clock show would be the House of Hardcore show. The 7 o'clock show would be the Impact show. And they would share a venue for those several days, and all they would do is change the fucking ring skirts, and then they'd put banners up on the stage and whatnot, and they would basically run a fuck ton of shows. Sami Callihan posted on Twitter and was like, I had 15 matches in 5 days. Because he was on every single one of those shows because he wasn't signed, but he was available to be at all of them, and he had all these different dream matches over the weekend, and they were all really fucking good, and he had literally over 10 matches in 1 week, all in the same venue for several different companies. In Oklahoma, they have this thing called OKX, and they do it once a year. They were only supposed to do 1, and then they decided they were going to do 2. They originally promoted it as a 2-day event, and then COVID happened. They scrapped the 2-day event. Now they're going to condense it down to 1. So that's going to be another long goddamn show, but it's going to have representation from just about every top star in the state, which is what we try to do on every show. We do Parade of Champions. We bring in all this different gold from all over the state. The Wrestling Against Hunger champion, the UWO champion, the Empire champion, the BPW champion, the UWE champion. All these different companies have had their champion come through UWO at Parade of Champions events. Do you think that one venue, several shows, 1 day, 2 days, whatever, new paint, new shrubs after every show, change the skirts, change the stage, put the new logo up, you think that something like that would be possible, and would it draw?
I don't think every one of them would draw just because it's the same wrestlers pretty much on all of them.
What if it wasn't?
If it was different wrestlers, it would draw.
So, like, you have your Empire show, you have your Empire guys. Say you do that one at noon, and then 3 o'clock, you have a Sooner World Class Wrestling show. Kareem Sadat's already said that he's bringing all these guys back that used to work for SWCW. It won't be the same guys. Then you have a BPW show 2 hours after that. You end it with a UWO show at the end of the night. That's a lot, but are the same fans going to stick around all day and watch all 4 shows, or are you going to have different fans throughout the state because, I want to go to UWO, so I'm going to go at 8 o'clock. Well, I want to go to BPW, so I'll go at 5 o'clock. Do you think that it's going to be the same people, or do you think that it's going to be different people for every show because the fans are loyal to that show?
I would pretty much guess there's going to be a handful that's going to be at every show.
Yeah.
I've already seen, some of your Patreons, they drive in from Tulsa and stuff like that. So I know that they would be there for every show.
Yeah, I had a lot of those guys act like they were afraid I was going to be upset with them for not coming last weekend. There was a core event at the same time in Tulsa, and they were like, "I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to come to your show. I'm going to go to Core instead." And I said, "What are you sorry for?" And they're like, "Well, we're patrons, we should be there." And I'm like, "You paid for the ticket. You don't have to come."
Right. I
You
mean,
know.
you get to see it. You get to see it online after the fact,
Yeah,
anyways.
and that's another thing. I do make sure that everybody in the Patreon account, they do get a post-show stream. They at least get a YouTube link so that they can watch it again. If they missed it, they'll see it on Patreon because they're already paying for it. So I at least owe them that.
Right.
It's like our most recent show. Our camera guy, he's been kind of MIA for a week or so. So there's a delay there, but they're gonna get their goddamn footage, and they know it.
Right.
Tony said, "Open the damn Pokemon card." Tony, they have been open for an hour. I opened them. Just so you know, there weren't any duds. Every pack was good. I didn't say I was going to display it. I just like to multitask. I think that the Empire show coming up on the 27th is going to be a barn burner, man. Do you know exactly what you're doing yet?
Yeah, it was just announced last night that I'm actually going to go against Revan.
Is that is there any like significant stakes behind that? Do you know the purse? Do you know if the winner will get an opportunity at a championship in the future, or is it just exhibition?
I think it's just exhibition. They
Right
didn't
on.
really announce anything about it, so.
Right on. Well, we know that, and we know that after all the hijinks from the nuclear warfare match, that Sanchez is going to be in a match with Double D. Is that going to be on this card, or is that later?
No, actually, they're doing a contract signing. So after their fallout of the nuclear warfare match, they're going to do a contract signing for Thirst for Gold for April.
So April, what's the date?
April 18th is going to be Thirst for Gold. That's our big show of the year, so we're definitely going to try to pack it out.
Hell yeah. So I think everybody that's in here should definitely write that down. That's going to be a big one. I know that we've been kind of juggling the All-American Championship title defenses with the Tag Team Championship defenses. I have a scheduled All-American title defense against Reggie Lincoln on this card, and then I believe in April I'm scheduled to have a tag team match, so that's exciting. Not sure who it's against just yet, but I know that we did have a pretty good tag team match with the Loco guys. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. That was actually kind of fun, so I'm hoping we can do another one with those guys. And I've got my eyes on Derek James and Warren Powers. Man, I had a really good match with Derek James at All-Star Pro like 3 months ago. I'd like to lock up with him again. He's a good kid. And then Warren is getting better every time I watch him work. He's just he's one of the few guys that'll actually ask for advice and like take it. Most of these guys just want us to jerk them off when they say, "Hey man, could you watch my match?" and then give me a critique. And then when you give them the critique, it's always followed with "yeah, but." Because
they want to explain themselves.
They want to explain why they did what they did, and they want to try to tell me why it works. When I watch the footage, I'm like, clearly it didn't work, bro. So your "yeah, but" means nothing. So please don't ever be a "yeah, but" guy, because that's not going to get you anywhere. But the contract signing, is that expected to close the show?
I believe that it's actually going to be either the open or the second after the first match.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's not a bad spot. The beginning of the show would be great. Have it all set up there, ready to go, so that the fans can see him sign it, get it signed, sealed, and delivered, and ready for the event in April. I guess my next question, which will probably be one of my last questions, if there was an old guy that you've never had a match with, Robbie, I don't want to call Robbie Baker out, but somebody told me the other day that they're having a lot less matches than they'd like to because their old lady gets pissed off every time they wrestle. So definitely wasn't Robbie, but the Empire card this month, you guys have announced my match with Reggie. You've announced your match with Revan. Is anything else announced yet?
There's nothing else announced yet.
How often are they going to release match cards?
Basically, we've got about 2 more that we need to announce, and then we'll just say other people that are going to be there.
You do have 2 more you're going to announce, or you have them signed, but you're not announcing them?
We're going to announce them. There's
You are?
we're going to announce them.
Good. I actually decided for a little while I wasn't going to announce matches because for the longest time I'd get the whole damn card made. I'd pay a guy to make match cards. I'd have 5 or 6 of them, and then fucking 3 or 4 of those matches would have to change. And it just sucks when you already have all these matches signed. You have the images made. You have everything promoted, and then the day of the show something happens, like their mother-in-law starts being an asshole to them, and they don't want to come to the show, or their girlfriend's being a bitch to them, so they need to fucking go clean out their storage unit because they don't know if they're going to be sleeping in it or not. Just silly stuff like that. But,
right.
So hopefully everything goes according to plan. I really hope that the show you promote is the show you're going to deliver. That is my biggest pet peeve in the world with guys who agree that they're going to be somewhere, and then at the last minute they're just like, I'm sorry, brother. The all-female event, had 5 or 6 people on the damn flyer that didn't even show up because they had other bookings, and that's fucking infuriating.
Yeah, if you're on the flyer, you got to be there.
Well, I actually, I won't say who because she wasn't promoted, and we didn't say she would be there, and we didn't necessarily want to unveil anything, but I got a girl to agree to come to that show. I saw her 2 weeks before the event, and after she had agreed to be there, she just told me straight up she wasn't coming. She was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Why the fuck not? You said you'd be there. I was going to have you work with this person. And they're like, oh, no, it's February. I'm not going to take any bookings in February. I'm like, then why the fuck did you say you'd come?
Right.
Nuts. Robbie said, or another promotion changes their date to the same date as your event so everyone bails so that they can work for the other. That is fucking annoying. I actually kind of feel bad because I announced the May 22 UWO show, and then shortly after, I realized that WFC, like the same weekend, had announced that they had a May 22nd event. So I had planned on using several of the guys that I work with there on our show, and then luckily I was able to work with everybody with WFC, and we're not stepping on anybody's toes. Nobody's having to cancel bookings and shit like that. This will be the last question because this is probably a decent one. If you were to promote an event, let's just say it's March 12th today. Let's just say March 20th, because there are events on March 20th, and you've been promoting it for 3 or 4 months. And the guy who's down the street says he's going to run a show March 20th strictly to compete with you. Do you cancel the show, reschedule it, which that's the same thing, or do you do everything in your power to make that the biggest show you've had ever? Do you promote gimmick matches? Do you offer dollar beer? Do you do whatever you can do to make sure that your show outdraws his because he did that to be petty and you have to show him up?
I think basically just run with what you have. Just make sure you still have all the talent that you've had scheduled, that they're not going to leave you.
Yeah.
You can talk about gimmicks or, deals or whatever if you really just want to beat them. But
yeah,
if you're running that day and you think you've got a good, solid product, just run with it.
Well, here's what I tell you I do. I'll put a big fucking sign outside that says free beer. And then I'll tell them, you come to our show, you're going to see fucking exploding barbed wire death match, wacky shit like that. Tables matches, ladders matches, all that shit. Even though the venue we run's like 10 feet. And then I'm going to put in big bold letters on the bottom of the thing. Card subject to change. But not about the matches, about the beer. Because here's what you do. You go get a shitload of Lost Lake. I mean, that stuff's like $4.99 for a 24 case. It's terrible. And you put that in the goddamn fridge, and you offer Lost Lake for free, and then you mark up the Budweiser for $4 a can.
Right.
That's a fucking draw right there, buddy.
Well, free beer, you know, it's going to get you there for sure.
Well, shit. You buy 2 or 3 of those. If you buy 2 or 3 of those Budweisers and get a little buzz going, you're not even going to know what the Lost Lake tastes like. You won't get mad.
Nope.
Maybe
Speaking of deals, March 27th, buy a T-shirt at the door, you get in for $5. So $20 shirt, $5 ticket, $25 gets you in.
So they're saving $5?
Saving $5.
That's, what is that? So if it would normally cost them $40, they're getting in for how much?
If they buy a T-shirt for $20, which is how much the T-shirt costs normally,
Right.
they can get in for $5.
Oh, so they're getting half off at the door. They
Yes.
just got to buy a shirt.
Yes.
So that's just a good note to anyone who planned on buying a shirt anyway. You know, you don't have to bring as much money. You spend more money on candy.
Exactly.
Just remember, if the heat goes out, salt the popcorn twice, my man. Mark up the water bottles. You were selling for $1.50. Well, they're $2 now. Oh, Zach's reassuring me that it's March 27th that you buy a $20 shirt, you get a $5 ticket. That's not the other show.
Yeah, March 27th, Empire Show.
Okay. Are you ever planning on selling tickets ahead? Like if you wait till intermission or so and then start plugging discount tickets if they buy them in advance, something like that?
It's something
I do it. I do it. It works. You know, instead of $10 at the door, they can buy them in advance for $8. And we usually, I know Kevin makes a shitload of ticket stubs, so that's something you guys could try. It's guaranteed money in advance. It helps you pay the fucking rent. It's not a bad deal. And if anybody's asking, I was fucking joking about the Lost Lake. I'm not going to fucking offer you cheap-ass beer for free. If I'm going to give you free beer, I'm going to go buy the good shit because it's something I got to have to take home. Because if no one drinks the Lost Lake, then I'm going to be stuck with it, and I'm not fucking interested. I wouldn't flush Lost Lake down my toilet because I wouldn't want to fuck up my toilet. You gonna rip whip? Fuck. Are you gonna whip Revan's ass?
Well, that's the plan for sure.
You just gonna paddle him like a dirty little bitch?
Well, you know, I do owe him. Last time I worked with him at the UWO show, he did his little skirt deal over the head and punches and stuff.
You know where he learned that? You want to know where he learned that?
Well, I'm sure he learned it from you.
Yeah, he did. No big deal. I wrestled in a kilt for 7 years, 8 years, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Just about anything you can do to pretend you're getting a blowjob while you're punching a man in the forehead. It's money. But, yeah, so March 27, 2 matches are announced, 2 matches are coming. UWO is not till May 22nd. There's All-Star Pro this Sunday. Looking at the booking sheet real quick. The following week, WFC on March 20th. And then, of course, All-Star will be the 28th, the day after UWO. So March is pretty busy. I don't have another schedule in front of me, so I don't know what other shows are running. But Levi, Malachi, whatever you want to call yourself today, depends on what day it is, I guess. I'm only Drake Gallows on Saturdays unless I bump into a Mark. But I think you ought to know from me and from anybody else that's worked with you lately that you're improving quite a bit. And even though our first match together was better than our second, I think that you're a decent hand right now. And considering you've only had 14 matches, that you obviously can only get better from here. It sucks that you started your career so late because that just means it's going to be a hell of a lot shorter.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, you're a good dude. I can't call you a kid because you're older than me, but just keep your ears on all the time and pay attention to a lot of the guys that are willing to give you advice, because if they're willing to help you, it just means they care about you and they see potential. And just keep doing what you're doing because you ain't done nothing wrong yet. So as long as you don't break anybody's neck, you think you'll be okay.
Well, that's definitely the plan, not to hurt anybody.
Yeah, and fuck, even that match with GoldenEye, the dude just made a point. That was decent, pretty good. Not a lot of people expect much out of fucking GoldenEye, so I'll let you go, man. It's been an hour and 20 minutes, but thank you for talking to me today. Thanks for coming on and listening to me talk, because that's usually what I do. I talk and I make people listen, and I don't let them get a fucking word in. Take a look at the comments. There's people giving you a lot of praise right now. Robbie Baker, send him some of your matches. He'll give you an honest opinion. And he's not going to sugarcoat you, and he's not in our bubble, so he's not going to fucking try to stroke you or anything like that. So he's always been honest with me, so he'll be honest with you. Yeah, man, we'll see you on the 27th. Good luck to you. Be safe. Don't spend all that fucking COVID money in one place, all right?
I'll try not to.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks, man. Later.